Hello guys, this is the Emotional Iron Topic. So this is the second video of the story of the RMS Titanic. So let's start off where we left off in the last video. So basically, Titanic was heading to Southampton, but during the time she was heading to Southampton, she wasn't fully complete. Her carbons were all the way done. She didn't have all her chairs. She didn't have all of her food or her crew. So the day she arrived in Southampton was April 3rd. And when she arrived, it was at night. So her lights were going. She would pull into her pier and moor, or she wouldn't go anywhere, for she stayed put. Because if she wasn't moored, she would go float away. But she was moored to her pier, just like this. Basically not really hitting the pier side, but close to it, where passengers were able to get on. So, while she was sitting there, they finished her carvings. So April 10th, before April 10th, they would finish her carvings, getting her chairs aboard, getting all her food, most of her crew aboard. So, say for example, the night of April 9th, 1912, there was, all of her crew was on board, except there was going to be a switch around in crew. So basically, right now in Southampton, April 9th, 1912, there was Captain Smith, Chief Officer Chief Officer William Murdoch, First Officer Charles Lightoller, Second Officer David Blair, and so on. But I know you guys are thinking, since when First Officer Murdoch was Chief Officer? Same with Lightoller. Well, there was a last minute change in crew. Captain Smith wanted Henry Wilde from the Olympic that he served on as her Chief Officer, wanted him with him on Titanic's voyage. So the White Star Line said, okay. Mr. William Murdoch was bumped down to First Officer William Murdoch. Charles Lightoller was bumped down to Second Officer. So now it was so it's Captain Smith, Chief Officer Henry Wilde, First Officer William Murdoch, Second Officer Charles Lightoller, as you know, on the final voyage. But still, let's wait till let the final voyage wait until later on. But so when on April 10th, early morning, the passenger trains arrived. So, most of them. So like the first class and second class got off the trains with their luggage, and they went to the docks, the dock where Titanic was moored. So when they arrived, they put down their luggage. They had to put on tags for if they want to put in the holds, for some of the luggage in the holds. If they didn't want it in the holds, they put another tag on stating it would go in the cabin. So once they did all that, and third class actually had to do inspections of their hair and all that, make sure they didn't have lice or diseases. If they didn't, they could board. If they did, they couldn't. So once that was all said and done, at 12:30 in the morning, Titanic blew her whistles. Titanic only had 2 whistles that worked. The first 2 funnels. Those whistles worked. The third and fourth funnel, those whistles just make her look pretty. Same with the fourth funnel. Fourth funnel was used as ventilation. It wasn't used for smoke. It was used. Some smoke did come out of it, because of the fireplace that was on board in the kitchen. But still, that was the fourth funnel just made her look like she was grand. So, like I said, when she blew her whistles, she uncasted her mooring lines and pulled away from the dock. And when she pulled away, she went slow ahead. So that means like 2 or 3 knots. When she was going, she was passing the SS New York and the RMS Oceanic. The RMS Oceanic was another White Star liner. So when she was passing them around 15 knots, the suction of Titanic's big old propellers pulled the SS New York in. So basically what the passengers on the Titanic heard was 3 loud snaps. Snap, snap, snap. They looked over. They saw the stern of the SS New York heading towards the stern of the RMS Titanic. So basically, pretend the SS New York's my hand. So basically, the SS New York stern was heading towards Titanic's stern. It was a near miss. So Captain Smith decided to reverse the engines. And then when Captain Smith reversed the engines, it would let a rush of water from the big old propellers. So once they did that, it helped push the New York away, with the help of Vulcan, the tug. And when they did that, the stern of the New York slowly pushed away from the Titanic, and then Vulcan took the New York away into another pier. So after that, Titanic sailed on to Cherbourg. When they arrived in Cherbourg did not have a big enough dock for Titanic to moor in. So she would sit in a bay like this. And then she had what, as they call, little sisters. She had the tender Nomadic and the tender Traffic. They would bring on passengers and luggage. So Nomadic carried first and second class passengers over to the Titanic. So basically, this pretend my hands are Nomadic. Nomadic would arrive alongside the Titanic, drop off first and second class passengers with the luggage, and then the Traffic will come along the other side with third class passengers, mail and luggage. She'll drop off the third class passengers, and the luggage to be on board. So once they did that, in the first and second class area, a few prominent passengers aboard. You might know them: J.J. Astor, which is John Jacob Astor IV, the richest man in the world at the time, and his wife Madeline Astor. Then there was Molly Brown, or Margaret Brown, but people called her Maggie back in the day. She didn't like being called Molly, as she was later known as unseekable Molly Brown. But still, she was boarded, and so few other passengers aboard as well. But when Titanic was ready to cast off, which all that took 3 hours. When Titanic was ready to cast off, she blew her whistles. She turned around and started heading towards New York. Or not New York. It was Queenstown. Heading towards Queenstown, Ireland. When she arrived in Ireland, it took a day to arrive in Ireland. When she arrived in Ireland, she did the same thing. She waited in the bay. But for this one, Queenstown did have a big enough dock for Titanic to dock in. But the Captain Smith thought, it would be a faster turnaround if they stayed in the harbor to hurry up and turn around and go to New York. So, like I said, Queenstown did have their own tenders, but it wasn't for the Titanic in the lips. It was for everybody. So, once they brought over the passengers' luggage again, and once Titanic was full, she had 2,200 passengers aboard and 900 crew. So, once Titanic was ready to cast off, she blew her whistles and turned herself around. And she sailed off to New York. So guys, I'm going to end it right here. If you want the third video of the story of the Titanic, please like and subscribe and comment, see how well I'm doing on the videos. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one.